It's the only man-made structure visible from space. Except it isn't. That's the first lie we were told about the Great Wall of China. Most of us imagine a single, continuous stone dragon snaking across the mountains. But the reality is far more chaotic, darker, and more ingenious than a simple fence. It is a 13,000-mile-long graveyard, a massive tax collection office, and ultimately, the project that bankrupted an entire empire. Today, we're going beyond the tourist traps of Badaling. We're looking at the sticky rice mortar that holds the bricks together, the telegraph system that moved messages faster than a galloping horse, and the real reason the wall was built, which had surprisingly little to do with stopping an army. If you look at sections of the wall built 600 years ago, they often look sturdier than modern concrete. How? For centuries, scientists were baffled. In the early 2000s, chemists finally caught on to the secret ingredient: sticky rice. During the Ming Dynasty, construction crews mixed slaked lime with a sweet rice soup. This created a complex carbohydrate amylopectin calcium carbonate bond. It's essentially an ancient super glue. But there's a dark side to this culinary engineering. This required massive amounts of rice. In a time of famine, the emperor was literally taking the food out of the mouths of his people to build a wall they didn't even want. This led to the first ripples of rebellion. We also need to stop thinking of it as a wall. It's a series of earthworks, trenches, and stone barriers built by different dynasties who often hated each other.
Long before the stone walls we see today, there was the Wall of Qi. This was hundreds of years before the first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, even dreamed of a unified China. These early walls weren't made of stone, they were rammed earth. Imagine thousands of workers tamping down dirt and gravel between wooden frames until it was as hard as a rock. Archaeologists recently used LiDAR, laser scanning from planes, to find these ghost walls buried under the desert sands. They discovered that the wall system is actually thousands of miles longer than our official maps claim. These sections are invisible to the naked eye, hidden under the silt of centuries, proving that the Great Wall isn't just a structure. It's a geological scar on the face of the earth. Here is a secret historians rarely mention in school. The wall was terrible at stopping invasions. Genghis Khan famously said, "The strength of a wall depends on the courage of those who defend it." He mostly just walked around it or bribed a guard to open a gate. So why keep building? Because the wall was the world's most effective customs office. The Silk Road was the lifeblood of the ancient world. By building the wall, the emperor controlled exactly where traders could enter and exit. If you wanted to bring silk, spices, or gold into China, you had to pass through a gate, and at that gate, you paid a tax. It was also a reverse wall. It wasn't just to keep the Mongols out, it was to keep the Chinese taxpayers in. The empire needed its farmers. If life got too hard, farmers would try to flee to the steppes to live with the nomads. The wall was the Iron Curtain of the 14th century. To ensure no one escaped, The design of the wall itself was psychological warfare. The battlements are crenulated, or notched only on one side, the side facing north. This was a constant reminder to the soldiers. Your enemy is out there, and your home is behind you. But the wall also featured blind spots and dead ends, designed to trap invaders who managed to scale the heights. If a Mongol raiding party got over the first layer, they would often find themselves funneled into a narrow corridor with no exit, where guards could rain down early gunpowder grenades from above. How do you defend 13,000 miles? You can't put a soldier on every inch. You need information. The Great Wall was the world's first high-speed data network. They used a sophisticated smoke and fire signal system. One smoke column meant an enemy force of 100 was approaching. 2 columns meant 500. 3 meant over 1,000. On a clear day, these signals could travel 500 miles in just a few hours. By the time the invaders reached the inner gates, the Imperial Army had already been mobilized for 3 days. But what was it actually like to live in one of those towers? It wasn't just the soldiers. It was an entire ecosystem. Because the wall was so remote, the government established military farms nearby. Soldiers were expected to grow their own grain while defending their posts. They lived in a constant state of boredom, interrupted by sheer terror. We've found ancient trash heaps near the towers containing fragments of wood with writing on them. These were the letters home of the era. They complained about the freezing wind, the lack of a quality wine, and the nomad raiding parties who would ride up to the wall just to shout insults at them. It was a lonely, grueling existence, where the wall felt more like a prison than a fortress. If you missed a signal or fell asleep, the punishment was death. It was a high-tech system built on the backs of the most miserable people in the world. Every brick has a price. It's estimated that over 1 million people died during the various construction phases of the wall. Historians call it the longest cemetery on Earth. There's a persistent myth that the bodies of dead workers were ground up and mixed into the mortar. Modern testing has debunked this. Human bone would actually weaken the structure. However, the reality isn't much better. Workers who died of exhaustion or starvation were simply dumped into mass graves at the foot of the wall. Thousands of families never saw their sons or husbands again. The Ming Dynasty spent nearly 100 years obsessed with finishing the stone sections we see today. They spent so much money on the wall that they neglected their navy and their internal economy. In the end, the wall didn't fall to a foreign army. It fell because the people inside were so broken by the cost of the wall that they let the invaders in. Today, the Great Wall is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a point of national pride. But as we look at the Wild Wall, the sections that haven't been restored for tourists, we see the truth. It is a monument to human persistence, yes, but it's also a monument to the fear of the other. It's a reminder that no matter how high you build your defenses, no wall is stronger than the economy and the morale of the people living behind it. The secrets of the Great Wall aren't buried in the bricks. They are found in the stories of the traders who paid the taxes, the guards who sent the signals, and the millions of workers who never made it home. It stands today not as a successful shield, but as a silent witness to the price of isolation. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the hidden history of the world's greatest barrier. If you found these secrets as fascinating as we did, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more untold stories from history. What ancient wonder should we investigate next? Let us know in the comments below.